guest with us today, and that is Omar Morales, who just reminded me he was on this show like 10 years ago. That's what happens when you've been doing a show for 13 years. And he's here to talk to us about Major Thomas. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Dave. Thanks for having me on for a second engagement here, a decade later. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Dustin, we've been working with Dustin for different things, and the name, this just came up, and I was like, oh, definitely, because the more I can talk to creators, the better. The question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind, and it's how we usually start these things, is what is the elevator pitch for Major Thomas?
What I've been using it's La Bamba plus Lost in Space plus Guardians of the Galaxy, right? It's a story about a Chicano boy who grows up wanting to be an astronaut. He makes it, he gets lost in space, and he finds himself in the middle of the space war between like aliens and robots. And so it's very accessible, right? It's rated, but it's easy for kids to digest. There's nothing too difficult in there. There's no swearing, no sexual content, nothing like that. But it is action adventure in the theme of Star Wars and Star Trek and that kind of vein of action sci-fi storytelling. So that's it in a nutshell, man. It's been a joy to create this project. In fact, it's funny that you say that I was on 10 years ago, because the germ of the idea got in my head around 10 years ago, and I was mostly workshopping it up here in my head, and then COVID hit, and then I had time. I found myself with time, which creators usually don't have. So I started just pounding away on the keyboard, banging out the script. And here we are today, getting ready to launch here in about 10 days on Amazon as part of the Comixology Originals line.
Yeah. So you mentioned obviously Star Trek and old school sci-fi. Is that something that you grew up on?
Absolutely, dude. I've told this story before, but when I was a little kid, I only spoke Spanish. I didn't really learn English until I went to kindergarten. And so my parents, on the advice of the nuns at the Catholic school, just started bombarding me with English language content, which was mostly comics, coloring books, toy packaging, and movies like Star Wars and whatnot. And so that became my introduction to English, because I knew I'd be interested in it and I would absorb it quickly. So that was the way that I got introduced. I'm a classic 80s, 90s kid growing up. So comics, sci-fi, things like Ultraman reruns and the old reruns of Spider-Man 1966 after school and Nintendo and all that great stuff from the 80s. That was my education.
What would you say is the inspiration then behind Major Thomas?
On top of all that stuff that I just mentioned, which is just in my blood as a fellow geek, the main inspiration was 2009. My wife and I went to a concert to see this band called The Sounds in San Francisco. And one of the warm-up acts was a band called Shiny Toy Guns. And they did a cover of Major Tom, the famous pop song from like 1981. And the lead singer just captivated me with that song, man. She really blew the roof off the place. And she had so much emotion describing this astronaut who's lost in space and he's desperate to get back home. And I could just feel his pain. And so the idea just went into my consciousness at that moment. And I just started working on the idea. But I thought Major Tom, the famous astronaut from pop legend like David Bowie, Space Oddity, we don't know much about him, right? Oh, he's an astronaut. His name's Major Tom. He's lost in space. And I was like, I'm going to put my twist on it. I'm going to make it Major Tomas. I'm going to make him a Mexican-American like I am. And I'm going to talk about who he is, how he got there, why does he want to be an astronaut, how does he get lost in space, why does he want to get back home, answering all these questions that were in my head about this fictional pop star character that's just like a throwaway lyric, in some couple of famous songs. That was the main inspiration. And then later on, again in 2009, serendipity, there was a real life astronaut named Jose M. Hernandez, and he went to space as I want to say the first immigrant that came to the US and became an astronaut. And they showed video of him in the space capsule and he was waving his Oakland Raiders flag. And I'm a huge Raiders fan. So he captivated my heart. And so I had already started working on the story and I was like, oh, this is even more proof of concept for me. And he's a great dude. And he actually wrote the foreword for my book. So everybody who orders the book on Amazon, you will see right away on like page 2 or 3 is a forward from Jose M. Hernandez stumping for the book and what he likes about it and how it correlates with his life story. And by the way, he has a movie about his life that's out on Amazon Prime right now called A Million Miles Away. It's great. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, man. It's super inspirational.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Superhero Speak podcast. And don't forget to watch us live every Sunday night right here on this channel.
While you're here, hit the subscribe button and click the bell for notifications so you won't miss out on any of our great upcoming content.
Speaking of content, don't forget to check out our website, superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast, links to our social media, merch, comic reviews, and so much more. That's superheroespeak.com.
Thanks for watching, and don't let your cape be caught in the door. See you next time.